Hello, I'm Commissioner Emma Darnell, Fulton County District 6. Welcome to Mighty Six Conversations. As you know, Conversations is a monthly information communication program focusing on what we call the sustainable community. Economically strong, environmentally safe, with liberty and justice for all. The subject of today's conversation is today's youth and young adults. What's going on? We'll be back in a moment. We are very fortunate to have joining us today in the conversation Reginald Crossley, who is the coordinator of the Fulton County Youth Commission, and also later two of our youth commissioners, Cameron Payne and Mona Mahadevan. Welcome, Reginald. It's been a little time since we've been here.
Yes, it's an honor to join you, Commissioner Darnell.
Well, we are very, very pleased to have you here. And I can assure you that I hope that all of our guests are as popular as the guests that we have today. But the one question that we hear over and over again as we speak to seniors and others is, Emma, what about our children? How are these children doing? And I want them to know that our children are doing great and that you play a very important role here, assisting the Board of Commissioners in identifying the needs and interests, not just of youth, but the entire community. Myself and other commissioners, we consider what you do in gathering facts and reaching conclusions and presenting them to us with the view of incorporating some of these ideas and directives into our work. Very important. So for those who may not know a little bit about the Youth Commission, it's a little bit more than just having some busy work on the weekend, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it was created by the Board of Commissioners.
Yes.
Because we don't recognize age when it comes to the ability to help. So tell us a little about that, Reginald. I want the folks who want to know more about youth commissioners, I want them to get a little background before we bring the real stars up here.
Yes, absolutely. And I would first like to thank you, Commissioner, for being a lifetime champion for the Youth Commission program since its inception in 1999. So the Board of Commissioners created this program.
1999.
Yes, it's been since
a
1999.
while, yes.
And the program was originally designed to give young people a voice in government,
yes.
to give young people a platform and an outlet to allow them to voice the needs that they felt were most important from a youth's perspective.
Yes.
So the program has, since 1999, has
wow.
worked in so many facets and has offered so many essential programs to the community. Currently, I can't get into all of them, but we have close to a dozen different projects and initiatives. But I'll share our top three.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, we're working on an initiative called Not Even Once. It's a drug prevention program where we go into the schools and we actually facilitate workshops, interactive, hands-on workshops led by our young people, our youth commissioners, our school leaders, on how to address peer pressure. How to address the issues of opioid use within our schools and many other drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and many other things our young people are engaging in.
Do you find that problem is increasing now more than, because we do have a perspective from 1999. Certainly from the opiate statistics, we know that we have a crisis, but does the commission find that we have a greater problem now than we did 10 years ago?
I believe so, yes. And we have found
seems to
through
be.
surveys that our young people feel that those are the top issues
I
within our
noticed
schools.
that.
And survey after survey, drugs are often at the top of the list on what they feel are the most important things that need to be addressed. But it's unique now. You know, it's not out in your face now. They're doing edibles. The drugs are now in candy and in cookies and in cakes. So, students can be in your classroom eating a brownie and you would have no idea that it's a pot-laced brownie.
Are the percentages higher than they used to be? Back in our day, you had one or two kind of strange folks. They said they do drugs, but there was about 3 or 4 people. But but what about the percentages? They're pretty high now.
Yes, the percentages are definitely very high, and it's again a new way of doing it. Our young people are now being coerced into this type of lifestyle by simply being offered a piece of cake or a piece of a cookie from a friend, and then after you know it, they're acting strange, as you mentioned. So that's why we feel like this initiative is very, very important. We're also spending
extremely important.
Extremely important. Yes, we're we're facilitating workshops with our school administrators. We're training our counselors, our social workers, our principals.
Yes, I attended one of your workshops with counselors, was it?
Yes, our Fulton County school counselors.
Yes.
We're doing school-wide training.
Yes.
And what makes it very impactful is we have our teens who can transfer this information in terms that our teens can also understand. So we feel that the peer-to-peer
do they respond
communication,
to their peers when they talk to them?
Absolutely.
About drugs?
Absolutely, because they know they're in tune with what's going on in the generation. They know the music, they know the language, and they know, again, the underground activity that takes place in these schools. So a lot of times
makes
our
a difference when
principals
they
don't know what goes on.
Like me, folks.
Yeah. So even beyond that, we're helping our schools identify the hideouts in their school where, we know who's selling what, doing what, we know everything that goes on. Mm-hmm. And our young people have the pulse in the community. And,
that's so important, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because, our young people have the face that they put in front of their parents and the face that the true person they are in front of their friends. And parents are surprised to even see their children
I bet they are.
In their normal state, which is around their friends.
Well, you really have to have a good selection process, don't you? You have to choose very, very carefully the kind of young people that will participate and have that kind of record and reputation. How do you select members for Youth Commission?
Well, we make the applications available to all public, private, and charter schools throughout Fulton County. So you don't have to be in a public school, and most importantly, you don't have to be a scholar. We're not an academic-based program.
You don't have to be on the honor roll every
semester.
No,
you do not. We simply look for young people who have an interest in serving as a voice for youth in their community, who have an interest in government, who may aspire to be elected officials, attorneys, but again, simply who want to be a voice for youth in their community.
You sort of look at their record, too, to see what they've been doing before they applied.
A lot of our
those who have the interest, they want to continue it,
Yes. And a lot of our requirement is centered around civic engagement. What are you already doing in your community? How can you help contribute or expand our existing community initiatives and programs? So, again, we're not an academic-based program. We simply want young people who have the energy and the innovation and
the passion.
The passion, of course. Most importantly, the passion.
They have it too.
To be a part of, this journey of trying to engage and empower and keep our young people safe and aware.
Well, there's no question about it that you certainly have been effective. Of course, being commissioners, I know that you've been pretty active in the area of legislation and recommending to us, what we should do. Many times people think about legislation in terms of the law, what the law is. But one of the most important jobs we have as commissioners, Board of Commissioners, Youth Commissioners, is to establish priorities, you know, consistent with the community's values. And so some of the legislative work you've done has been very helpful. I noticed that you made a presentation, as you do each year, to the state legislature. Of course, to us, you give us very detailed information. But what are some of the issues you presented to the legislature this year?
Well, this year we focus on increasing the mandatory high school age, which is the age that young people are able to drop out and sign themselves out of school.
That's so important. Why did you focus on that?
Because we have done a lot of study and research around states that have increased the high school dropout age, and we found that young people are 30% more likely to graduate if you increase that high school dropout age from 16 to 17 or 18. So we see that if they can see the light at the end of the tunnel, they're more likely to graduate.
So what you do is not based on personal opinion, it's based on the evidence.
Oh, absolutely. Everything we do is based on the evidence, and it's from the youth's perspective on what they feel will be the best way.
Well, that's the combination that will work.
Yes.
Yeah, because the evidence has to be consistent with the everyday experience.
Absolutely.
Of the young people. Well, Reginald, we're going to ask Cameron and Mona to come up now so that folks can get a chance to see some of the youth commissioners and hear from them. But we certainly are very, very appreciative of the work you and your staff have done.
And thank you, Commissioner.
In this particular area. And we look forward to continuing to receive input and direction from the youth commissioners. We'll be back in a moment for part 2 of our conversation. Stay with us. We are especially honored today to have joining us in the conversation 2 of our youth commissioners, Mr. Cameron Payne, who is in the 11th grade at Manica High School, and Ms. Mona Makadevin, who's in the 11th grade at Woodward Academy. Welcome, Cameron, and welcome, Mona.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, let me just begin by saying thank you all so much for all that you're doing on the Youth Commission. There's so many things that you could be doing, but I want you to know there's nothing that is more important to us than hearing from you and to getting your recommendations in terms of what we can do to make sure that all of the children in our community have an opportunity to grow and develop and have the same kinds of opportunities that you have. I want to begin with you, Cameron. I want you to tell us, Mr. Carson told us about all the projects that you all are doing, and I know there are probably 3 or 4 of them that you liked a lot.
Yes.
But just tell us about some of those that had a special meaning for you.
Okay, to start off, one big project that I always attend is the NEO tours, which stands for Not Even Once. Basically, you go inside schools and tell children about different types of drugs. We actually give them a visual, what they look like. We give them a simulation that they can go through to show them what these types of drugs can do to you. And I feel like that has a really big impact on children.
It has an impact on them.
Yes, ma'am.
I think y'all's presence there has a big difference.
Yes, being at a young age and telling them, since I'm close to their age, and telling them the things that other people...
They listen to you, don't they?
Yes.
You know, we tend to kind of lecture and preach.
Right. And you know,
they listen to you all, don't they?
I'm close to their age, so it feels like a friendship connection.
Yes.
And I feel like that is a really big impact on them because they grow up knowing this is nothing, we don't need to be around this. And I learned that something's better out there. And I feel like that's really big.
Yes. Well, I know it must be gratifying to see the kind of impact you can have.
Yes, ma'am.
With them. You know, and many of them have not really had persons of your age to take that kind of interest. You find that true also, Mona?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
I feel like our tours really help provide a different positive influence compared to maybe
they have
what's around
enough
them.
negative influences. Yeah. Yes. Go right ahead, Go ahead. Tell us about your project also.
I think what I found.
You probably like this one too, don't you?
I do. It's really
It's so
incredible.
important. I understand it's really a big problem too, larger than it was years ago.
I think the most valuable project I got to work on had to do with raising the dropout age.
Yes.
We proposed this legislation and lobbied for it when we were in front of the Education Committee and the
Yeah, we
K-12
saw that.
subcommittee.
You were good too.
Oh, thank you.
You all made a very impressive presentation.
But it's been really valuable for me to consider people who are locked into unfair schools where they don't have the same resources as other kids for no fault of their own. And so many of those factors cause them to drop out early. And it just wreaks so much havoc on their lives. They have
It
lower
does,
income.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I just think that nearly every person who's dropped out says that they regret it. So helping kids make the right decision when they're young, I think really helps them when they grow older too.
Once again, as I said to Mr. Cross, you have the evidence to back it up.
Yes, ma'am.
That those who stay in school longer and graduate, they do better in the future when it comes to their jobs and when it comes to all the way down the line, economically and socially. It really makes a difference. You said something else, Mona, and I'd like for both of you all to comment on it, and that is that many times the dropout rate is being affected by factors that actually the students can't control. Sometimes the school doesn't have the resources. I heard you say, Mona. And that's also true with the community sometimes too, isn't it?
Yes.
If you've got to deal with instability in your neighborhood, we'll just break it down. If you have to deal with bad housing,
Right.
you know, all that all affects it, doesn't it?
It's everything. It can be-
Infrastructure, no sidewalks, no
Right.
grocery stores, you know.
Right.
Do you think that kind of affects the morale of a student?
Yes, I grew up in College Park, and
Yes.
some parts of College Park is nice, but then some
That's
parts,
true of all communities.
Yes, true of all communities.
Some are nice, some are
And
not
some are
so
not.
nice. Yeah.
And I can see the difference in the different parts of College Park.
Mhm.
On the badder side, you see a lot of people just walking the streets and not in the house and things like that. But on the
Yes.
good side, you see people, having fun and on the inside and stuff like that. And growing up in College Park, I've been to both. I've been exposed to both.
Yeah, we all
and
have.
It's good that I have because I get to hear both sides of the story while they do
Yes.
such things. And I really do think the way you grow up, some things you can't control, and that's okay though. It's still you still have the choice and ability to change.
Well, you all demonstrate that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this whole project about trying to raise the dropout rate, that's a major contribution.
Yeah.
You know, that's a major contribution that you all are making. And that's basically saying to those of us who make the laws that we need to look a little bit beyond just the behavior of a child and just look and see what kind of policies are you adopting that might be able to help this situation.
Yeah.
You know, and that is because you all have expressed your concern about it. What are some of the reasons that you believe that we are having such a crisis now, maybe more than 4 years ago, with respect to the drug epidemic? Is it just sort of a popular thing to do, or why is it? Mr. Garza was mentioning that the percentages are higher than they used to be.
Well, we live in the technology age, and
Yes.
social media is one of the biggest things
That
right
is.
now.
It always
And-
comes back to that social media, I tell you.
Everywhere you look, either your favorite celebrity or
Mhm.
some inspiration you have might be doing some type of drug. It's in the music, it's on the TV,
There it is.
it's
Cameron.
everywhere. So when you see it everywhere, you're going to like, okay, this is something that everybody's doing, so I might as well try to do it myself. And that's not good. I try to tell people that I know in school who do
Yes.
drugs that don't follow the trend. It's nothing that it doesn't help be different. But everywhere they look, that's all they see. Their friends, family. So I just feel like just because of technology and social media advancing every day.
Yeah, so we didn't have the opportunity to see all that.
Right.
Yes, we just heard about a few things, you know. Mona, would you agree that social media, because it gives you access to so much information about what other people are doing?
Absolutely. I think another part of it is just the availability of the drugs themselves. They're so much easier to acquire now compared to 1999, for example, especially because drug traffickers have realized that if they hook kids on when they're 14 or 15, they have lifelong
They got a
consumers.
customer.
Exactly.
Well, they're giving me a signal, but I just knew that it was going to be too early with you all sitting here. But y'all have touched on something that is the hardest part of this. And as I say many times, you know, our children and our youth, they may not always be good at listening, but they are very good at watching. And what you're saying, the examples that we are setting, all of our big name stars and all of our heroes, and we find out that, you know, that they're doing drugs and so on. I think we have to be a little careful too, don't you think?
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to say to you, each of you, that when they see young people like you, though, who are just that same age and have really the same experiences and all, it makes a difference, because you all don't just talk it twice a month for the television cameras. They see you every day at school, and you're certainly fine young people, and I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you so very much for what you're doing, because you could be doing nothing.
Right. That's right.
You could be doing nothing, but because you're members of the Fulton County Youth Commission, working with your friends and on the Youth Commission, you're putting ideas in our heads. You're letting us know things. We certainly give a different kind of weight to what you say, because many times, you know, we're good at talking, as we can see now, but we are not that good, you know, at acting. But I promise you that you will continue to have high priority
Thank you.
with the
Thank you
Fulton
so
County
much.
Board of Commissioners, and we're just waiting for your next presentation.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we're going to get that dropout rate reduced, even though we don't have the authority to do it, but we're going to work with you with the state.
Thank you.
We work real hard when we're trying to get money from the state, so now we're going to work just as hard to try to save our children. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'll be back in a moment with closing thoughts. Thank you for joining us. Margaret Walker has written, quote, "Teach the words to your children," end of quote. Thank you, Fulton County children and youth, for learning the real words: compassion, courage, commitment. You have certainly demonstrated by action that you have learned the real words. Thank you for all that you've done and all that you will do in the days of challenge ahead to protect the health, safety, and dignity of all the children of Fulton County and their families who we serve together. That's all the time that we have for today's conversation. Until next time, stay strong. To learn more about today's conversation, contact me at 404-612-8222. That's 404-612-8222. You can also email me at emma.darnell@fultoncountyga.gov. Visit us online at emmadarnell.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.